Most parents are wary of the so-called heavy metal music.
Salut à tous, METALXS, c'est l'essentiel de l'actualité métal et dérivé en quelques minutes, le tout en images, en musique et en interview. METALXS est une exclusivité RIFFX by Crédit Mutuel, la plateforme de toutes les musiques, tous les talents en partenariat avec Artforce. C'est parti! Il a retiré les initiales WVH du nom de son groupe Mammoth et clôture un cycle de 3 albums en intitulant celui qui vient de paraître The End, la fin. Mais n'est-ce pas plutôt le début des choses sérieuses ? De toute sa vie, Wolfgang Van Halen ne pourra jamais échapper à une écrasante filiation. Mais plutôt que de subir le poids de l'héritage, il aura mis quelques années à prouver et à se prouver qu'il pouvait totalement exister par lui-même. La formule reste la même, du hard rock américain, généreux en mélodie et en guitare, mais désormais, on peut le dire, sa vie lui appartient. METALXS a rencontré Wolfgang à Paris pour évoquer ensemble en quoi The End est un album charnière.
I don't think I've ever been so comfortable and confident with any, just through the recording process. So I feel like it's the most cohesive and mature thing yet. Very happy with it. I was going through a lot mentally, so I think that's where just the whole concept of things ending and just kind of panicking kind of came about. But you can find positives in that. But I think overall through the recording process, I just the fact that it's the third time around, I think the more you do something, the more comfortable you get with it. So I think I'm just having a good time and just I'm finally feeling comfortable.
Cet album aurait pu s'appeler Trois pour suivre la logique des précédents. Pourquoi lui avoir préféré The End ?
I think it felt different enough that calling it Mammoth 3 didn't work for me. I think it's more of a departure from the first two records. So I think it was time to roll with a fully titled album. And I think through the recording process, I just found myself writing about things ending, or it's a therapeutic thing for me. So just kind of dealing with my own anxieties and stuff. And I think that just came through all the songs, and it just felt like it was the main theme, so it made sense. I think it felt important enough to be the title track, because I think overall it just represents the overall sentiment and the vibe lyrically that's kind of on the record, where it's easy to be mired in anxiety and worry, but there's also a positive outlook that you'll eventually make it through there. And I think overall the arching story of the record ends with a much more positive song as opposed to the rest of the album, so it's sort of that light at the end of the tunnel, kind of mirroring that concept.
You're getting easy to please.
Son évolution en quelques années fait-elle qu'il écrit des choses qu'il n'aurait pas été capable de faire auparavant ?
I think the first track on the album is more of like telling a story, and that's something it could have autobiographical, relations to the idea or the concept of the story, but I think the way I wrote it is a bit different than I would normally. It's kind of telling a story, and thematically it ties into the music itself. So I think, I took a bit more chances with this one.
Hey, Wolf. Hey, fellas. Where's Wolf at? He's in there?
You know, the pre-production side of this record was different from the last few. Normally I do it on my laptop, just do demos, but this time around we were able to use the studio, so I could just track guitar, then run out and play drums and just kind of go back and forth and do it really quick. So the creative juices just kind of keep flowing rather than, you know, spending 3 hours, you know, programming drums and just kind of getting bored through the process. So I think there are a handful of songs on the record that, because of that, the ease of that process, I wouldn't have taken as many chances had I just been on the computer. So I think when I went back to that old idea of that tapping, I was like, you know, let me try and see if I can do something with it, and if it doesn't work, that's, you know, a minute wasted instead of, you know, 4 hours on a demo or something. So I think that's when I just took chances and decided to write a song around that initial idea, and it came relatively quickly, so it was pretty fun.
Depuis le début, la marque de fabrique de Wolfgang, c'est qu'il assure tous les instruments sur disque. N'a-t-il pas été tenté d'impliquer davantage les musiciens qui l'accompagnent en concert depuis quelques années dans la fabrication de l'album?
Well, they're my live band, you know, and I think, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm having too much fun in the studio, kind of doing my own thing, and I think at a certain point, if there were other people, it wouldn't be the same thing, you know. You know, Mammoth has been sort of my artistic expression since the beginning. So I think, you know, if I ever decide to change that down the line, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I think right now I'm perfectly satisfied with the process.
Quand on est face à soi-même, que ressent-on à l'issue d'une journée de studio?
It depends on what I got done. I think usually if I was tracking drums, I'm probably pretty tired. But I mean, I think if I'm writing lyrics, it's a bit emotionally draining. But I think at the end of all this, even if it was tough, you know, having, you know, mental breakdowns during it, try to get it finished. I think at the end of the day, I've arrived at something I'm really proud of and happy that I did it.
Pour un musicien qui est à toutes les étapes de la création, les paroles inspirent-elles la musique ou l'inverse?
Yeah, it depends. Usually after the music, I think the music and the vibe almost informs where the lyrics go to a certain extent with me, and the melody, so to speak. So, but I mean, there's plenty of lyrics I've written that end up, you know, prior to a song and then somehow make up into it. So.
Sur The End, Wolfgang est resté fidèle au producteur Michael Basket.
Yeah, I think, you know, the more you work together, the more, you know, it's that almost familial relationship through the working partnership. And I think when people see that it's just me playing everything, they must think that, you know, I don't have a band there, but he is that other half. He's basically that. You know, every band has had somebody. You know, the Beatles has, you know, George Martin, and, you know, the early Van Halen records had, you know, Ted Templeman, so to speak. So it's like he's that sort of that guidance that helps me from doubting myself or makes sure I'm going in the right direction. So he's very much that creative wall to bounce things off of and keep it going. So yeah, I can't imagine doing it without him.
Hi, we're the band.
Même si les paroles reflètent des sujets personnels lourds, l'humour ne manque pas dans Mammoth. Et Wolfgang le démontre dans la plupart de ses clips. La vidéo du single The End, signée Robert Rodriguez, est une explosion de références.
Yeah, you know, I hit it off with Robert Rodriguez, and we had exchanged numbers and kept in touch. And I always just had this pie in the sky, hopeful idea that if he ever wanted to work on something, it could be, you know, an homage to one of my favorite movies of his, which is From Dusk Till Dawn. And I ended up showing him the idea when it was finished, and I asked him if he felt like would he be into working on it, and he was really enthused and excited, and he ended up coming to my house, and he wrote this whole script that was like so detailed and hilarious, and And before he knew it, we were, he called up Greg Nicotero and Danny Trejo, and it just all kind of happened in 2 days. It was really crazy. A 12-hour shoot every day for 2 days, and while it was a lot of work, it was still so much fun.
Parmi les invités, le brave Miles Kennedy qui ne finit pas très bien.
I think we resurrected him. He'll be okay. Yeah, that was really fun. Give him the whole Walking Dead treatment. He was zombied out.
Sans oublier l'apparition de Slash.
Slash really just came by to say hi and hang out for a second, and then Robert was like, stand over there really fast, and he just filmed it. Like, it took 2 seconds, and it was really funny. That's one of my favorite little cameos just because it's so funny. He's kind of this invincible energy he is.
Pour les observateurs, il y a un passage dans ce clip. Ça ne vous rappelle pas quelque chose ?
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely an homage to that, for sure. That was just something that Robert and I came up with, because the idea of it just all seemed to work out, the whole thing being, the light homage to his movie, to Thriller, it just felt like a fun thing to do. With most album cycles, there's usually a couple main videos and then lyric videos for that sort of supplemental content. And I just said I didn't want to do lyric videos anymore because I just thought they're kind of boring. So I thought, hey, why don't we just go up to the studio and record me playing it, just like I did in the studio. It's a little bit more entertaining, on the eyes as opposed to just reading the words.
Mais derrière l'humour omniprésent dans ses clips, les textes reflètent des thèmes très personnels mais aussi universels.
Yeah, I think, while I do pull everything personally for my lyrics, I do everything I can, sometimes better than other times, to leave it open to interpretation so that somebody can kind of put themselves into it. So I think I did a bit better on that this time around. I think there's a lot of those songs on there where I think, there's many meanings for it. I mean, the idea of the end itself can have so many different meanings that I think people can kind of pull what they want out of it.
Après avoir porté sur ses épaules l'intégralité d'un projet, que ressent-il quand tout est achevé ? Et se souvient-il où il était quand il s'est dit « c'est fini, les dés sont jetés » ?
Nervous usually, because I just want to make sure it's okay. And after all the work that we did, and making sure I had the right sound system, because at a certain point you want to listen to it in like 8 different ways, like on AirPods, on headphones, in a car, on a big speaker, on a little speaker, on your phone. And I think this time it was in the studio, so I just sit it in the studio and turned it up, and it was really fun. It was just me and my wife, and we just cranked it up and listened to it, and it's a trip to kind of sit there because it moves by so quickly, and you forget like all the layers that you put in there. So it almost requires a couple listens just to be like, oh yeah, I remember that and remember this, and it's fun to have that at the end of every record cycle, just to be like, I did all that,
We tried so hard, it sounded let it go.
Il a ouvert pour des groupes de référence comme Metallica, Slash, Foo Fighters, Alter Bridge, Hellstorm ou encore Creed récemment. Quels enseignements tire-t-il de ces opportunités d'avoir été à leur côté sur la route ?
I really just like to witness how every band sort of operates in the way that they achieve what they're trying to do day to day on tour and otherwise. So I think if there isn't really a direct lesson I'm taking, it's more of just sort of being in the energy and being around them and sort of witnessing the way that they operate that may rub off on you at a certain point.
Il y a plus de 10 ans, juste après avoir fait partie de la dernière formation de Van Halen, Wolfgang a accompagné Mark Tremonti pendant 4 ans dans son projet solo. Quel souvenir garde-t-il de cette étape importante à ses débuts ?
I remember that was one of the first times I ever toured Europe, and at this point, that was 12 years ago, I think. It was 2012, 2013. it was a really fun time. I had a lot of really great memories. And that's part of the reason why Garrett is the live drummer in my band, because he was the drummer at the time in Tremonti. So yeah, a lot of great memories, and I'm just very happy to still be just as, if not more tight with him now.
Au moment de partir en tournée, ce qui est le cas actuellement aux États-Unis, comment les musiciens qui l'accompagnent se familiarisent avec un nouveau répertoire qu'ils n'ont pas enregistré?
You know, I encourage them to learn it on their own rather than, and they're that good that they never really have any issues. I think there's a handful of times where maybe they'll call me and be like, hey, how did you specifically do this part? And I'll tell them, but I don't think I've ever actually said, hey, you're doing that wrong. You know, I like when they learn it themselves and play it their own way. Sometimes they play it differently than how I recorded it. And hell, sometimes I play it differently live than I did the way I recorded it too. So I think as long as it just sounds like the song, that's a job well done.
Un nouvel album auquel il réserve une grande part dans les concerts à venir.
I think the benefit of that is that we're not this big band that has this catalog of hits that people need to hear. I know we have a handful of songs that people expect to hear from us, but for a headline tour, I would really love to try as many as the new songs as possible.
On sent que Wolfgang est un musicien particulièrement inspiré. Lorsqu'il sort un disque, n'est-il pas du genre à penser déjà au coup d'après?
For sure, yeah. I think every time we get together to record an album, there's usually 3 to 5 ideas that kind of fall off the side, not because they weren't good enough, but because we didn't have enough time. So after every album, you begin to just build this little vault of ideas that you can't wait to get back to. And at this point, I feel like if I didn't even write anything new, the 4th album is ready to go. I just need to, finish it. But that's the thing. Then we get together, and then we end up writing 12 more songs. So it's like you always just have this spare album sitting there waiting to go. And I think some things like that idea for the end, and the idea of something new and selfish on those albums I had written during the period of the first album. They just never, had the time I never had the time to finish them. So every idea will eventually have its time, but yeah, I'm always looking to the future and thinking about what to do next.
Puisque cet album est une forme de fin de chapitre et le début d'autre chose, cela peut-il passer par complètement revisiter son style?
I think if I would never make like a genre shift or anything, but I think it's fun to try and include things and show them through my lens. I think I think people would laugh when they hear that like Meshuggah is a big influence for me, but I think if you listen to some of the music, it's very rhythmic and there's some metal influence in there. I think for songs like Right on the last album, there's like this bridge that has all this crazy double kick, but it's through my lens, it's with melody and more rock based. So I think if it's anything like that, that's probably what it'll be, where just maybe little hints of ideas kind of start to show and that you see that growth, kind of like with The Spell, like you mentioned, it's kind of a different sound.
Après avoir joué en première partie en France, on a hâte de voir enfin le groupe assumer sa tête d'affiche.
I'm very excited. We'll be here next year.
Promis?
Oh, absolute promise. I can't wait.
À noter sur vos tablettes les sorties discographiques récentes ou apparaître dans les prochains jours.
The devil
Voilà, METALXS, c'est terminé pour aujourd'hui. On se retrouve dans 15 jours pour un nouveau numéro avec toujours plus d'interviews, de surprises et de contenus inédits. Un immense merci pour votre fidélité et n'oubliez pas de prolonger l'expérience métal sur RIFFX.fr. Salut!